Hi there, my name is Andrew Elmquist, and this is my video on the overview of the article titled Radical Pedagogy. So, first thing about this article, I think that it's super um, great how the quote that says categories of difference such as gender, race, and class, rather than merit alone, do matter, and they contribute significantly to people's life experiences as well as their life um, opportunities. And I just think it's super important and something that's super um, over and over, just kind of reiterated in this article, is to challenge the norm. And so whatever that looks like in a classroom, whether it's about gender or sexuality or social class, whatever it is, this article just calls us to challenge the norm. And one other thing that I found really interesting, talking about people have really strong ideas and opinions about certain hot button topics, and it's really important to have a personal understanding of those things, but also when talking about them to have strong academic language. So it's just really important to kind of find a balance between the two. Another big thing in this article is just the intersectionality of race and gender and how we can't separate them. So there's basically just this big um, kind of dialogue talking about how like a white woman in poverty is different than, let's say, a African American woman in poverty, right? Because the white woman isn't necessarily discriminated against because of her race, but rather just her excuse me, just because of her social class, whereas maybe an African American woman in poverty would be not only criticized because of her gender and her class, but also potentially because of her race. And so, just a big theme throughout this article is that when you're in poverty, people just think, well, poor people are poor people, but in all actuality, there's even more of a discrimination. There's even more kind of classes that fall into that, which honestly a lot of us don't necessarily know because we maybe aren't even exposed to those groups, or we just don't know a ton about them. And so one of the challenging guidelines of the five for me was recognizing how your social position informs your reactions to your instructor and those who you would work with, or who you would study in a course. Um, and so I think something that's really kind of tough for an everyday person, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background is recognizing your social position, recognizing where you come from, and kind of knowing where you can go and how you can help better understand other people. I think it's really easy to stay comfortable and kind of just do what you know. But if you kind of get outside of your comfort zone, I think it's really important to recognize where you come from and how you can kind of help advocate for other people, or help just help better react to your instructor or people who come from different backgrounds that you're in your course with, or people who you interact with on an everyday basis. So a couple strategies I came up with for meeting these guidelines were just whether in classroom or not, just recognizing other people's perspective, and just kind of understanding your social positionality, as the article talks about. And another thing it talks about is your potential blind spots. And so maybe if you come from a more middle class family, try to understand some people who are from a lower class, people below the poverty line, or if you come from a people in the majority, such as Caucasian, you try to understand your blind spot of not necessarily knowing a perspective of someone who was African American, Asian American, someone like that. And so it's really important to recognize everyone's perspective and where everyone comes from. So it's kind of all I have to say about this article. I really did enjoy it. I think that it's kind of hits home for a lot of people, and it definitely is challenging. It challenges the norm. It challenges just normativity and things that we kind of think about in everyday life. So that's all I got.